coming up. Here we go. Justin's just recording it for me. Cash prices keep coming up. What's going on is a lot of weather news. Black Sea area is supposedly getting a smaller and smaller crop. So the market's trading that. The export market for white wheat is very, very weak. We'll get into some of that data here shortly, but I think this week we sold 9,000 tons, so about 300,000 bushels, and that was enough to spur the cash bids up a little bit, try to keep up with the futures. But for now, it's just kind of a wait and see. I mean, white wheat's still competitive on the world market, even though we're not seeing a whole lot of demand. It's kind of the same story we've been seeing for the last year. We have okay pricing for our customers, but our customers just aren't stepping up the plate. They're not excited or not feeling the pressure to buy in. The other thing we've been doing a little bit this week is we've been selling some barges and then bumping up our prices here and there to make them more attractive to you guys, so you can try to sell some wheat at a little bit better pricing. The one thing you got to keep in mind, if you've got old crop bushels, that there's very little chance that there'll be a protein premium starting July 1st, because I think we're going to see a fairly low protein crop, or worst case scenario, an average protein crop. So I really don't see where the market's going to need to pay extra to try to get something low. So the 2 years ago our crop was super low pro. This last year our crop was super high pro. And I think this next year, worst case, like I said, is you're going to see an average range. You're going to have some low pro, you're going to have some mid pro, and maybe a little bit of high pro. Although, if it stays cool through June, I don't think the high pro is going to be there. So maybe there'll be a premium for high pro, but I doubt it, because with 2 years ago with that super low crop, and then this year with the super high crop, there's plenty of high pro out there in the Northwest to blend off or to deliver against a contract. So I don't see that as being too big of a deal. Let's talk a little bit about the fundamental data, I guess, that we get that somewhat drive our markets, and we'll start with the export sales report. And we'll go to not page. I didn't number the pages because I'm not Justin, but if you'll go all the way back here to white wheat, we'll just take a look at that. It's kind of midway through your packet. The charts are wrong. StoneX has not got these charts right, but the data itself is right. So old crop sales this week were 0.2 of a ton, or 0.2 of a million bushels, so 200,000 bushels. Most likely that was overfills on ships, that sort of thing. It wasn't anything for a new sale. And then old crop, I think actually new crop, sorry, I have to go back to the first page. New crop sales were only 900,000 bushels. So pretty low sales numbers. It's a little bit concerning. What I don't see on this report is the sale to Yemen that supposedly happened late last week. So maybe it didn't get finalized till early this week. So maybe this week's export sales report will be a little more what we're used to. The other data that kind of hit the market on Monday is crop progress. U.S. winter wheat good to excellent ratings is dropping off. Typically, if you look at the 5-year average, it just kind of stays pretty steady in the spring. Of course, last year it improved dramatically, but it was improving from a very, very bad crop to a not so bad crop. This year we're seeing drops, but if you go to the next page, you'll see the winter wheat good to excellent condition ratings by state. And what's interesting is somehow Oregon dropped 8% in 1 week, down to 59% good to excellent. I don't know where that came from. I know there's one guy in this room complaining about having freeze out in his wheat, so maybe that has a little bit to do. Maybe that's a little more widespread than we thought. But the stuff around here and the stuff I've seen over in Gillum and Morrow counties makes me really wonder where that rating drop comes from. I doubt it's happening in Pendleton area. I doubt it's happening in the Willamette Valley. So it'd be interesting to know where they get their data. Washington down 3%. That's a little more realistic. They haven't had as much rain as we've had, or the timeliness of the rain. So that can be expected. But hard red country was down a little bit, although Kansas was up. The market's expecting about 100 million bushels more hard red than what the USDA has been putting out this year. Soft red country over in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan still looking very good. And of course, California is still sitting at 95% good to excellent. What we might start seeing next week, I don't know if we'll see it next week or the week after, we'll start seeing harvest progress in this report. They're cutting wheat in Texas. I think California, if they haven't already started, they'll be starting pretty soon. So the southern tier starting to bring in the crop a little bit. I don't think it'll put harvest pressure on for another couple weeks, but we will start seeing a little bit of harvest pressure. But the other thing is, if you look at I printed out some of the International Grain Council reports, which is kind of your second to last page. And this came out yesterday, and it's just reaffirming some of the information that we've been hearing in the market. You know, they lowered total grain productions from the previous month by 10 million metric tons. Wheat production down 3 million metric tons. And then we have corn down 6. So they are starting to lower the production a little bit. Of course, rice and soybeans are up. So the soybeans and corn dynamics might be a little bit about acreage. But the general trend has been, okay, the Russian crop's getting smaller. The French crop continues to get too much rain, which I've never heard of before, but apparently it's a thing. And we'll just have to wait and see if it's real. You know, India, supposedly their crop wasn't as good as what they wanted or needed. So there are some things in here to make you a little, to say, hey, maybe this will continue. And, maybe even if it doesn't go up much, maybe the cash market will actually catch up to the futures a little bit and give us a little bit better pricing. But we will start seeing harvest pressure. So I think this window might be a good opportunity to price some grain if you so feel. I noticed that we have Mr. Riedner on here. I don't know if he knows how to use his computer, but if he's willing to chime in with his comments. Bud Riedner works for the Andersons company, and he's been an exporter, and so he keeps a lot better eye on what's going on in the export market than I do.
Good morning, guys, and thanks, Jeff. I am a little bit computer savvy, so we'll see. But Jeff hit it right on the head right now. As you can see, markets have appreciated mostly because of production concerns in Russia and Australia. The wheat market's done its deal. It's getting its way out of the feed ration in the world, and he also washed a bunch of the shorts out of the futures markets. And now everybody's looking around to see if world prices will catch up. That's the biggest thing we've seen, is that the market's taking care of the rationing, but we haven't seen the end users show up to buy yet. Jeff hit it on the head. White wheat specifically is that we are into Asia, where the cheapest wheat delivered into the Asian market, into Korea, China, Indonesia, by 10 to 15 bucks a ton, but they're not buying yet. Okay, world consumers are, whether you like it or not, they're in denial. They want to see exactly what the world clearing price of wheat is, and good, bad, or indifferent, the Russians are going to set that. And right now, they're still the cheapest wheat in the world. On a hard wheat basis, white wheat's the cheapest wheat in the world as far as the soft wheat goes. So from my perspective, yeah, it's just a wait and see. And if we do get to see the consumers come here, or the price doesn't break, I think we'll get a little bit more mill buying overseas, and probably will keep the market steady. But we have to get through the harvest period. That's about all I got. You're still on mute, Jeff.
What I was trying to say is, I get this video thing going right. If anybody has any questions about the grain markets, you can put those in the chat, or you can actually just unmute yourself and ask away. In the meantime, we'll switch it over to Jacob, who's going to give us our update from Oregon State.
All right. All right.
Let's look at Jacob.
Okay, good. I think we're good.
There we are.
Okay. Sorry, Jeff's got to mute himself. Otherwise, I have to listen to my own echo, which is not fun. So, good morning, everyone. Got a major update. I was over at the Morrow County Crop Tour a couple days ago. I'm pretty surprised actually how good their wheat's looking. They got some pretty good green up from the recent rain that we got. Kind of surprised me so much better than their wheat looks. So I don't know what, but about time those guys had a good crop, so things continue to go well there for them. They're definitely having more rust starting to come up in Moore County because of how good their wheat is looking as a result, though. And we're seeing some of that rust pressure kind of migrate over to our counties as well. Mainly rust being found in Magic over there, which is not surprised. Also some hard red wheat varieties are seeing pretty high rust pressure over there that we typically don't grow in Wasco Sherman counties. They are starting to find rust in some areas with Voodoo. It's taking longer for the rust to get on Voodoo than Magic, but the rust definitely can still get on the Voodoo.
I can't
And then I'm
read
sure
it.
as most of you know,
Come on,
that
fuckers, get your shit
obviously rust
together.
is starting to show up in our counties as well, obviously on Magic, again, some areas with Voodoo as well. I haven't heard anything about coax and varieties being slammed with rust yet, but again, some of those varieties are newer releases, and so just OSU encourages people to be scouting for rust. And just, it's nice to see those commodity prices coming back up. But just, again, the decision to spray for rust is also an economic decision.
You're getting too much feedback.
Especially as the wheat's getting close to flowering. Once stuff gets past flowering, the efficacy of putting that fungicide on probably is not gonna pay out as you would hope. So just keep an eye on rust. Again, I think the more recent rainfall and cooler temperatures are gonna help that rust continue. One note in the chat there, Jeff, do they think they're hearing me on both my mic and your mic?
I got it.
Okay. Other updates, just obviously crop tours are coming up. June looks to be a busy month. The Sherman County crop tour is scheduled for June 4th, starting at 8:30 a.m. at the extension office. Should be wrapped up around noon with lunch catered by Christy Lesh with Casual Catering. I will say with the crop tour too, both the Sherman and Wasco County crop tours, I got approved for 3 ODA pesticide credits for both. So if you need credits, come to both crop tours. You can hook you up with 6 different pesticide credits if you need them. Looking at several different things on the Sherman County crop tour. Some of the things are still kind of up in the air a little bit, as they typically are, that we'll get everything figured out at the last minute probably. But we are going to be looking at the wheat variety trials at the Sherman station. We were planning to go on the Caseburg plots, but they had some issues with seeing those, so they don't look so pretty. So we're just going to stick to the Sherman station. Ryan Gravener's coming to talk about those. I'll be talking about the different trials I've got going on at the station as well briefly. Christina Haggard has a seed treatment trial that we'll be talking about as well. And then big support again from the McGregor Company. The plots that they've had and more over the last couple of years. We went to their plots last year. We're going to their plots again this year. This year, those plots are right next to the fairgrounds. The main focus there is going to be on the seed treatment trials and wheat variety trials. Unfortunately, Kat Salas is not going to be there, but her seed treatment gal, Jamie, is going to be there. And again, they typically have some good wheat variety data as well to share with producers, in addition to what Ryan Gravener does with OSU. And kind of up in there, hoping to look at a few precision spraying systems and try and get some drone involvement with AgCopter as well. But that will kind of depend on people's availability and just how busy people are between now and then. So that's kind of the game plan for the Sherman County crop tour. The next tour after that's going to be the Sherman Experiment Station on June 12th. Again, that's going to start around 8 o'clock up at the fairgrounds as they typically do, and we'll be wrapped up with lunch as well. So again, June 12th, they don't have any pesticide credits for that, but another great opportunity to look at research happening at the Sherman Experiment Station. And then finally, we have the Wasco County crop tour on June 13th, the day after that on a Thursday. Starting at 8:30 a.m. at the OSU wheat variety trials by Doofer this year. They're by the orchard block and not next to the cemetery as they were last year. Again, starting there at 8:30 as well, and we should be wrapped up with lunch at JTI in the Dalles around noon on the 13th. Stops obviously include looking at the wheat variety trials, possibly have a drone spraying guy that hopefully is hoping to make it if his schedule allows, and then focusing on a couple different things that David Brewer is doing out on his farm this year as well. So that's kind of my big updates, just getting research taken care of and getting those crop tours planned out. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Also kind of more of a regional thing. Luckily now we have the RFPA formation in Wasco County that producers are getting some pretty good wildfire training. I've been requested by some producers in Gillum County to put on some of the wildfire training I've done in the past there. So if you're interested, I will be teaching a class in Arlington next week on Wednesday, May 29th, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the North Gillum County Fire Hall. So just another opportunity there. Well, that wraps up the updates I've got. All right.
Okay, so Molly, I apologize, and Andy, I just seen if Molly was awake, so, Mike Weimer has a question. I'm assuming he's requesting information regarding the, base price contract program. And, so in the past, we just let people do them. Because of our experiences over the last couple of years, we are requiring people sign a contract that says they understand how they work. They understand that they may or may not get to amend them. All the things that we've said verbally in the past is spelled out in the contract. There really aren't any more rules, Mike, per se. They work the same. There aren't going to be any premium base price contracts. So there aren't going to be calls that we're going to sell to add to your price. So basically back to the beginning a little bit with the base price contracts in terms of you get to, set your base price and then wait for basis to improve. And then you lock your basis in and get a good price. I would recommend, just in case we do not allow amendments, which our goal is to, but in case we don't, that you put your base price contracts where you think you're going to need the income. So I've had a lot of people doing Januaries. I've had some people doing like harvest time frame, although most of them are being a little cautious about August and doing September instead. So yeah, just put them where you're most likely going to need them, and then if we're allowing amendments at the time, then you can move them out and do something else with your grain. So that's kind of the basics there, Mike. There is a limit to 50% of your average production. And I know that changes a lot depending on your circumstances. You pick up ground, you retire, you do some changes. So we can go over those numbers. We've been using the 2020 crop as an average number, and it seems to, for the most part, be pretty close to what people are producing. But again, it's been 4 years now, so a lot of people have changed what they're farming. So definitely have a chat with you about that before we sign the master agreement, so we know how much you can do. We may or may not change that limit either. We may go up at some point, but that's where we're at for now. Had a little bit of subscription so far. Maybe I think we're still under 200,000 bushels of new base price contracts. I think people are just being more patient than they were in the past. They're trying to figure out when to do them and what timing to use for those, because there's only a limited number that you can do. So definitely call the office, talk to myself, Justin, he'll be there next week, and we can go over that with you. And are there other questions? I appreciate Mike putting questions out there. And I thought John Seamantle would have a couple in there, but he's being pretty quiet again today. And I don't know if there's anybody else I want to pick on. I can't pick on my sister. She might get back at me. So I guess if there aren't any other questions, we will go ahead and wrap it up. And we kept Brian from getting political, so I think we can record in here today, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Thank you.